Okay, so we're resting, reconnecting, revising in whatever way we can. The next step is simply to pause. So often we run through life without paying attention. We're not very mindful of what we're doing. We're really just inattentive. We live in a 24/7 world, and pausing is a way to kind of stand up against that culture and say, okay, I'm gonna stop for just a minute here. The word Sabbath comes from a Hebrew word Shabbat, which means to cease, to stop. And we don't stop when we get everything done, because how many of us ever get everything done? I remember, especially, I'm not a big housework person, so it was really easy for me to give up doing housework on the Sabbath. But you'd clean one place, one room, and you'd go in another room and clean that room, and then you come back and the first room is dirty. Our work really never ends, and so we cannot stop when we're done. We have to just stop. We have to just pause. And that's not hard. That's hard to do, but I think part of it comes from, do we see whatever we're doing, whether it's caring for little kids, volunteer work, full-time work in the marketplace, whatever, do we see it as work, and do we fully engage in it? Or are we just kind of showing up and puttering, but not really fully engaging? There's a great book called The Power of Full Engagement. And the guy who wrote this, whose name I don't have in my notes, so I can't remember, did a famous study on tennis players. Now, I like to play tennis, so I was interested in this. He studied the top tennis players in the world, and he looked at like kind of the top tier and then the next tier, the second best, kind of, maybe top 5 and the people under that. And he said, what is it that they do differently that makes them the top players? And he watched them play, and they had the same strokes, they were equally fast at running to the ball, they had the same footwork, their technique looked similar in all the players that he studied. And he couldn't figure out what is different about why are these top players the top players? What is it that they do? And it was when he began to watch what they did in between the points that he saw a difference. Now, I don't know if you've ever played tennis, there's not a lot of time. Not in between games, but in between points. It's about 30 seconds, if that. And he noticed that the way they walked, the way they were breathing, the way that they talked to themselves, they were able to lower their heart rate, calm themselves, refocus. In fact, what they were doing was resting between the points. And that was what made the difference. They were fully engaged in the point, but then they were able to sort of disengage just for a second, and that was what made the difference in their ability to play tennis. We can learn a lot from this study of the power of full engagement. Do we fully engage in what we're doing, but then take time to disengage? And I know, like in my work, I'm sitting at a computer a lot of the day for my work. And so I'm fully engaged mentally, and oftentimes I'm engaged spiritually, as if I'm studying something or trying to write something regarding spiritual life. But physically, I'm just sitting there. So I need to find a way to rest mentally. One of the things that does that for me is to just go for a walk, where I'm engaged physically, but I'm relaxing mentally. I may be still thinking about things, but I'm not concentrating at the level that I am when I'm, say, writing something. Pausing allows us to sort of disengage. And it's part of the rhythm of Sabbath. Sabbath keeping is not where we run, Mach speed for 6 days and then collapse. Or we run until we give out in exhaustion and get sick and end up in bed. It is a sanely paced life, which includes time for pausing